In today's session, we would be learning the preparation of store's ledger account. We already learned that store's ledger account is a document that is used as a part of issue of material. And then we also saw different methods by which you can go about carrying out the issue of material. We saw FIFO, we saw LIFO, we saw weighted average, uh, uh, we saw simple average method. So for starters, we will be learning how to go about with the preparation of store's ledger account in the case of LIFO as well as FIFO. Now, if you notice, I prepared the store's ledger account, and I've mentioned on top that I would be maintaining this using FIFO. So what does FIFO stand for? FIFO stands for first in, first out. Okay, FIFO stands for first in, first out. So what that means is what has come in at first, that item would be issued that would be the first item to be issued. That would be the first item to be issued. Uh, and we would also be learning how to go about pricing the material in the case of FIFO. Okay, so now another important aspect that you have to remember is for whatever material that the business is using, okay, whatever material that the business is using as a part of its manufacturing process, the store ledger account gets prepared individually. So for example, this is the store ledger account for material A. Okay, so this is the store ledger account for material A. So likewise, for every material, you will be preparing a similar ledger account. Now, the store's ledger account has got three important sections: receipts, issue, balance. Receipts, any kind of purchase that your business carries out, that would be recorded in receipts. Any kind of issue that your business carries out, that would be recorded in issue. Then whatever is your closing balance for the material as on that day, that gets recorded in the balance column. Now here, what the question is telling us is that on 2nd of Jan in 2020, your business purchased 4,000 units at 4 rupees. Okay, so let's see how do we enter this into store's ledger account. Now remember, for each of the sections, that is receipts, issues, and balance, you will be maintaining the quantity, rate, total amount. So this you would be maintaining for all the three sections. Okay, you will be maintaining for all the three sections. Quantity, rate, and then the total amount. And then the total amount. So you will be maintaining this for all the three sections. So now let's start off. On 2nd of Jan, your business made a purchase. They purchased 4,000 units. They purchased 4,000 units. The rate at which they bought was 4 rupees. Okay, the rate at which they bought was 4 rupees. Now we have to calculate the total amount. How do we calculate total amount? Quantity into rate. So this would be 16,000. This would be 16,000. Okay, so that is taken care. Now we have to record the balance. So whenever we have a transaction, okay, now whatever transaction that your business carries out, okay, that would be in the purchase of, that could be in the form of purchase, or that could be in the form of issue. Immediately you will have to go about recording the balance over here. Okay, immediately the balance has to be recorded. Okay, so we didn't have any issue on 2nd of Jan. Now let's record the balance. So we have 4,000 units. Okay, we are recording that this as 4 rupees. The closing balance is 16,000. So we are done, recording the transactions for 1 day. Okay, we are done with recording the transactions for the first day. That was 2nd of Jan. Okay, so this is taken care. Now let's move on to the next date. The next date on which you have a entry is on 2nd of Jan. Okay, the next time that you're having another transaction is 20th of Jan. Okay. On 20th of Jan, the question tells us that your firm has made a purchase of 500 units. Okay, your firm has made again a purchase of 500 units. This time they have bought at 5 rupees. So where will we record? We should be recording that under receipts column. So let us do that. 500. Okay, you had purchased this at 5 rupees. This is 2,500 is the total. Okay, 2,500 is the total. We did not have any issue, so nothing over here. Now let's record the details. Now, while recording the balance, there's something very important that you have to remember. You had bought 4,000 at 4 rupees. Okay, you had bought 4,000 units at 4 rupees. Then you bought another 500 units at 5 rupees. Okay. In your store ledger account, you have to maintain them separately. Okay. You will have to maintain, though we are talking about the same material. We are talking about the same material. This is the same material. Material is A. Though it is for the same material, it is important for us to record the balance as batches. It is important for us to record the balance as batches. Why? Because remember, we are following FIFO. Okay, we are following FIFO. So according to FIFO, whenever you carry out an issue, you have to issue from the first batch. And which was your first batch? This was your first batch. Okay, this was your first batch. That's the reason why it is mandatory for us to record in terms of batches. Now let's record the. So this one sums up to be 16,000. This one sums up to be 2,500. So we are done with the entry for the second. Now a second transaction. So let us close this balance over here. And that is taken care. Okay, that is taken care. Now let's look at what is happening on 5th of February. Okay, let us see what is happening on 5th of February. On 5th of February, we are not having any receipts. We did not have any receipts. It tells us that we have carried out an issue. Okay, and we had carried out an issue of 2,000 units. So we had carried out an issue of 2,000 units. Now remember, the technique that we are following for issue of material in this case, in this scenario, is FIFO. Okay, so FIFO stands for first in, first out. What came in first, that is what you have to send out first. So remember, this 4,000 is what came in first for you. This 4,000 that you see over here, this was what came in first for you. So that would be what you would have to be issuing at first. Okay, that would be what you would have to be issuing at first. So out of this 4,000, okay, you are issuing 2,000. Okay, and what price did you get this 4,000? You got this at 4 rupees. You got this at 4 rupees. So 2,000 into 4, this works out to be 8,000. Okay, so we have completed the entry for issue. Now we have to work out the balance. Okay, remember, we are following FIFO. So out of this 4,000, 2,000 has been issued. So 4,000 minus 2,000, how much is remaining for you for this batch? It's 2,000. This was bought at 4 rupees. Now, next, you still have 500 units that you bought at 5 rupees still remaining with you. This is still remaining with you. Okay, so let's record the closing balance. 8,000 and then 2,500. And so we are done with the next entry. So we just processed the issue and we have recorded the balance as well. Now let's look at the next one. Okay, let's look at the next entry. Next entry is on 10th of February. Okay, next entry is on 10th of February. So on 10th of February, what happened was you purchased again. Okay, you have carried out a purchase. This time you purchased 6,000 units. Okay, this time you purchased 6,000 units. This 6,000 units you purchased at 6 rupees. Okay, this 6,000 you purchased at 6 rupees. So the total works out to be 36,000. Okay, you do not have an issue, so this is taken care. Now let us work out the balance. Now when you're recording the balance, your first batch, you have 2,000 units. Second batch, you have 500 units. Now you got the third batch. Third batch is 6,000 units. Okay, so you have 3 batches now. Now what you have to remember is these 3 batches you have bought at 3 different prices. First batch you bought at 4 rupees. Second batch you bought at 5 rupees. Next batch you bought at 6 rupees. Now let's calculate the cost. So 8,000, then you have 2,500, then 36,000. So that's your, that was your balance. Now let's close this. So we're done with the next entry. We're done with the next entry. And now in our warehouse, we have 3 batches of material. We have 3 batches of the material available with us in the warehouse. Now let's look at the next one. The next transaction that we have is on 12th of February. I want all of you to pay attention to this because now it is getting interesting. Because we are moving into a more complex scenario. Now it is getting a little bit more interesting. On 12th of February, we did not have any receipt. Instead, we had issue. Okay, we had issue. This time, you're issuing 4,000 units. Okay? So your total is 4,000. So just for your understanding, I'm going to be indicating this total in brackets. Okay? The total in brackets, that's just going to be 4,000. Now let's see how are we going to get this 4,000. What my requirement is 4,000. I have to issue 4,000 for my warehouse. Now, when I go back to my warehouse, I've noticed that I'm following, please remember, I'm following FIFO. So I have to issue what came in first. So what came in first was my first batch. Okay. So from the first batch, I am issuing 2,000. Okay, I'm issuing 2,000. Then from my second batch, now please remember my requirement is, please remember my requirement was 4,000. I have to save on space. So I'm just going to. Okay. So my requirement was 4,000. Please remember my requirement was 4,000. So for my 4,000, 2,000 came from my first batch. Please remember, 2,000 came from my first batch. Then another 500 came from my second batch. But please remember, my total demand was for 4,000. Okay, so out of 4,000, I fulfilled 2,000. Then I fulfilled another 500. Now I still have to fulfill another 1,500. So 1,500 I will be issuing from my third batch. The batch that I bought at 6,000 rupees, from that I would be issuing. Now remember, all these 3 batches of items I've bought them at different prices. So 2,000 I would be issuing at 4 rupees. This 500 I would be issuing at 5 rupees. This 1,500 I would be issuing at 6 rupees. Now let's work out the cost. So 8,000, 2,500, and 1,500 into 6, that is 9,000. Okay, that is 9,000. So I have managed my issue of items beautifully. Now I have to record the balance. Okay, I will have to record the balance. So now when I've carried out this issue of 4,000, what has happened is this 2,000 is over. This 500 is also over. Out of 6,000, I have issued 1,500, which means I'm left with 4,500. I'm left with 4,500. Now, out of this 4,500, out of the 6,000, I'm left with 4,500. This batch I had bought at 6 rupees. So this batch I had bought at 6 rupees, and when you work out the math, this becomes a total of 27,000. So this issue also I have completed. I hope this preparation of stores ledger account is interesting for all of you. And what you also have to remember is this is the responsibility of a stores manager. Okay? So this complex calculation, this complex computation, this pricing of these materials, all this has to be managed by the stores manager. So that's the reason why usually, in e-commerce segments or in shops, in retail segments, the designation of stores manager, it is highly paid. Okay, it is a highly paid profile. Okay, now let's move on. The next transaction that we have is on 2nd of March. It's the second transaction. The next transaction, sorry, it's not the second transaction. The next transaction that we have is on the 2nd of March. So on 2nd of March, what is happening is we are carrying out a issue. Okay, we are carrying out a issue, and this time we are issuing 1,000 units. We are issuing 1,000 units. Okay, so issue, we do not have any receipts, so this is taken care. We are having an issue, and we are issuing 1,000 units. So when you issue 1,000 units, remember this entire 1,000 units you're able to fulfill from here. Okay, so this was bought at 6 rupees. So the total is 6,000. Let us record our balance. We have 3,500 remaining. This was purchased at 6 rupees. So the total works out to be 21,000. Total works out to be 21,000. Close this. Okay, so this works out to be, this entry is also fulfilled. Now let's look at the next transaction. Okay, the next transaction that we have is on the 15th, is on March 5th. Okay, it's on March 5th. So on 15th of March, what has happened is you are again carrying out an issue. Okay. On March 15th, you're carrying out an issue, and you're issuing 2,000 units. You're issuing 2,000 units. Now this 2,000 units, again, you're directly fulfilling from here. Okay. This 2,000 units, you're directly fulfilling from here. So 2,000, this works out to be, this works out to be 12,000. This works out to be 12,000. Let's record the balance. You have 1,500 remaining, 6 rupees, and this works out to be 9,000. Okay, so I still got 2 more transactions to go, but I'll just pause here for a minute just to see if any of you have any queries. Okay, let's quickly wrap up with this question. Next is on 15th of March. Transaction on 15th of March tells us that we have purchased. So now you're carrying out a purchase, and you're purchasing 4,500. This time, this 4,500 you're buying at 5.5. This 4,500 you're buying at 5.5. So 5.5, it works out to be 24,750. It works out to be 24,750. So there were no issues. Now let's work out the quantity. So previous, you have 1,500 remaining. This 1,500 you bought at 6 rupees. Then you have a fresh purchase. So that was 4,500, 5.5. When you so this was at 9,000. This was 24,750. Okay, so we are done with transaction for 15th of March. We are done with the transaction for 15th of March. Now let's work out the last one. March 20th of March. At 20th of March, the transaction says issue. Okay? The transaction tells you you have issued 3,000 units. Okay? Issued 3,000 units. Okay? Now, when you're issuing 3,000 units, please remember, out of this 3,000 units, now your total need is for 3,000 units. Okay? So, out of this total 3,000, 1,500 is going to come from your first batch. This first batch you bought at 6 rupees. Okay? This first batch you are issuing at 6 rupees. You still have another 1,500 to fulfill. That 1,500 you will take from this 4,500. So 1,500, okay, and this was issued at 5.5. So this was issued at 5.5. So let's work this out. This was 9,000, and then this was 250. When you so 3,000 out of 3,000, that was your need. The first 1,500 came from here. The remaining 1,500 came from here. Okay. So now let's record the balance. So now that you've issued 1,500, you are left with 3,000, and this was purchased at 5.5, and the closing balance is 24,750. Okay. So we are done with this as well, and we have completed the store's ledger account. So this is how we would be going about with the preparation of store's ledger account.